Imagine waking up to the sound of fighter jets crossing into your country's airspace. That's exactly what Estonia faced as Russian jets sparked a dramatic showdown. Here's what really happened. Estonia is a small Baltic nation. It sits at a crucial crossroads in northern Europe, and honestly, its location gives it great strategic importance. To the east lies Russia, while to the north is the Gulf of Finland, which is, a vital sea lane. Estonia's airspace is therefore not just a patch of sky, it's a sensitive border between NATO and Russia. Control of this airspace is essential for the security of Estonia, and it's also vital for the stability of the entire Baltic Sea region. Any unauthorized entry into this space is a serious matter. It signals a potential challenge to national sovereignty and regional peace, demanding immediate attention and a firm response from the nation and its allies. An airspace violation is actually a simple concept. It occurs when an aircraft enters a country's national airspace without permission. Every country has sovereignty over the airspace above its territory, and this includes its land and its territorial waters. For an aircraft to legally enter, it must follow specific international rules. This usually involves filing a flight plan in advance. The aircraft must also maintain two-way radio communication with air traffic control, and its transponder, which is a device that transmits its identity and location, must be switched on. When a military aircraft ignores these procedures, it's not just a technical error. It is a deliberate act of intrusion with political and military implications. These violations can happen in several ways. A pilot might stray off course due to a navigational error or bad weather. However, when it involves military jets, the cause is rarely accidental. Often these aircraft fly with their transponders turned off, making them invisible to civilian radar systems. They might also fail to maintain radio contact with local air traffic controllers. This behavior is dangerous. It increases the risk of a mid-air collision with civilian airliners. More importantly, it's a calculated gesture, a way for one country to test the defenses and the resolve of another, probing for weaknesses in its air surveillance and response capabilities. For Estonia, its airspace is a symbol of its hard-won independence. The sky above the country is as much a part of its national identity as its land and sea. Protecting it is a fundamental duty of the state. The Estonian Air Force, though small, works tirelessly with its NATO partners to monitor this frontier. Every unidentified aircraft is tracked, and every potential intrusion is investigated. The integrity of this airspace is non-negotiable. It represents the line between a secure sovereign nation and the looming influence of a much larger historically assertive neighbor. This is why each violation, no matter how brief, is treated with the utmost seriousness by Tallinn and its international partners. Estonia's relationship with Russia is long and complex. For centuries, Estonia was under the rule of larger powers, including the Russian Empire. The country first declared independence in 1918, but this freedom was short-lived. In 1940, the Soviet Union occupied Estonia, along with Latvia and Lithuania. For the next 5 decades, Estonia was a Soviet republic. Its people endured political repression and the loss of national sovereignty. The memory of this occupation is deeply ingrained in the Estonian national consciousness, and it shapes the country's modern identity and its foreign policy. The desire to never again fall under Moscow's control is a powerful motivating force for the nation. In 1991, as the Soviet Union crumbled, Estonia bravely restored its independence. This was a moment of immense national pride, but it was also the beginning of a new, often difficult chapter with Russia. Moscow has never fully accepted the Baltic states' version of history. It views the Soviet period differently. Russia has often used its political, economic and military power to exert influence over its newly independent neighbors. Estonia, seeking security, looked westward. It worked to build strong democratic institutions and a free market economy. The ultimate goal was to integrate itself fully into Western structures, ensuring its sovereignty would be protected by a community of like-minded nations. The decisive step in securing Estonia's future was joining NATO in 2004. This was a landmark event. Membership in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization provided Estonia with a security guarantee it had never known. Under Article 5 of the NATO Treaty, an attack on one member is considered an attack on all. This collective defense clause is the cornerstone of Estonia's security. It means the military might of the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany and others stands behind Estonia. For a small country bordering Russia, This alliance is not just a strategic advantage, it is an existential necessity, a shield against potential aggression from the east. Russia viewed Estonia's accession to NATO with deep hostility. Moscow saw it as an unacceptable expansion of a rival military alliance right up to its borders. This has been a constant source of friction ever since. Russia has responded with a pattern of intimidation, including large-scale military exercises near the border, sharp political rhetoric, and cyber attacks, like the one that targeted Estonia in 2007. The airspace violations by Russian military jets are a key part of this strategy. They are not random acts. They are a consistent and deliberate message from Moscow, reminding Estonia of Russia's military presence and its disapproval of Estonia's Western alignment. Incidents of Russian military aircraft violating Estonian airspace have become a recurring feature of Baltic security. These are not isolated mistakes. They form a clear pattern of behavior, especially in recent years. One notable case occurred in June 2022, when a Russian Mi-8 helicopter entered Estonian airspace near the Koidula border checkpoint in the country's southeast. The intrusion lasted for about 2 minutes. The helicopter did not have a flight plan and had its transponder switched off. The Estonian Foreign Ministry summoned the Russian ambassador to protest the incident, calling it a completely unacceptable provocation, particularly given the heightened tensions following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Another significant incident took place in August 2022. This time, a Russian Su-27 fighter jet violated Estonia's airspace. The jet flew over Vaindloo, a small Estonian island in the Gulf of Finland. The intrusion was brief, lasting less than a minute. However, the context was critical. The jet was part of a larger group of Russian aircraft flying in international airspace. The violation happened as NATO jets, scrambled from Amari airbase, were monitoring the Russian formation. This type of incident is designed to test NATO's reaction times. It probes the speed and efficiency of the alliance's Baltic air policing mission, a constant game of cat and mouse played out in the skies. These provocations are not limited to helicopters and fighter jets. Strategic bombers, such as the Tu-95, and intelligence-gathering aircraft, like the Il-20, also frequently fly close to Estonian airspace. Often they fly in what is known as the Kaliningrad Corridor, which is a narrow strip of international airspace between the Russian mainland and its heavily militarized exclave of Kaliningrad. Russian military planes transit this route, but they often do so provocatively. They fly with transponders off, ignore air traffic controllers, and sometimes clip the edge of Estonian or Finnish airspace. Each flight is a reminder of Russia's military capabilities in the region. The frequency and nature of these violations often escalate during times of political tension. For example, before and after major NATO exercises in the Baltic region, the number of Russian military flights and airspace incursions tends to increase. This is not a coincidence, it is a deliberate Russian tactic. The message is clear: Russia is watching. It does not approve of NATO's presence and activities in what it considers its sphere of influence. For Estonia, these incidents are a constant source of concern, a persistent reminder of the security challenges it faces on its eastern flank and the need for constant vigilance. Estonia does not face these provocations alone. Its response is swift, firm, and coordinated with its NATO allies. When a suspected violation occurs, the process is well rehearsed. The Estonian military, working with NATO's Combined Air Operations Center in Weidum, Germany, detects the unidentified aircraft. NATO fighter jets on high alert at Amari airbase in Estonia or Šiauliai airbase in Lithuania are scrambled. Their mission is to intercept, identify, and escort the intruding aircraft out of Allied airspace. This is the primary function of the Baltic Air Policing Mission, a collective defense operation that has been running since Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania joined the alliance in 2004. The diplomatic response is just as important as the military one. After confirming a violation, the Estonian Ministry of Foreign Affairs takes action. It issues a formal public statement condemning the act, and it also summons the Russian ambassador in Tallinn to deliver a note of protest. This is a standard diplomatic tool, but it serves a crucial purpose. It ensures the incident is officially recorded, and it communicates Estonia's position clearly and directly to Moscow. By making the protest public, Estonia also informs the international community, highlighting Russia's disregard for international law and the sovereignty of its neighbors. This transparency is key to building and maintaining a unified stance. The strength of the response lies in Allied solidarity. The Baltic air policing mission is a tangible display of this. Fighter jets from countries like the United Kingdom, Spain, Germany, and the United States rotate through the region, flying alongside Estonian personnel. This sends a powerful message to Russia. It shows that an intrusion into Estonian airspace is an issue for the entire NATO alliance. After the 2014 annexation of Crimea, NATO enhanced the mission, demonstrating its strengthened commitment to the security of its eastern members. This visible presence of Allied forces acts as a powerful deterrent, raising the political and military costs of any potential aggression. Ultimately, these airspace violations matter deeply, not just for Estonia, but for all of Europe. They are a deliberate attempt to undermine the post-Cold War security order. They challenge the fundamental principle that sovereign nations have the right to choose their own alliances and control their own territory. For Estonia, each incident is a test of its resolve and the credibility of its allies. For Europe, it is a reminder that stability on the continent is fragile. A firm, united and vigilant response is the only way to uphold the rules-based international order and ensure that the skies over Estonia and all of Europe remain secure.